So how are you guys feeling? You okay? I think you need a little waking up. I think some of you asked me, you know that I'm in, I know I'm right all the time, but I'm in Donald Trump's book, right? It says the best illicit advice I ever received. And he got it from me, the President of the United States. And it wasn't that he quoted me, I have a chapter. Anyways, in that chapter, one of the things I said, you know, I sent him 6 chapters, and he picked, I thought 5 were brilliant, but he picked number 6. Which was essentially that we all should know who we are before we buy any real estate. Are you a flipper? Are you a long-term investment for cash flow? Are you a shark in the foreclosures? Well, all of you are always wondering, how do I find whether I'm out? I'm going to show you a surefire method, so you should all get up. I know some of you have seen it before, so you might want to get up. And while you're up, you might as well stretch. Good stretch. And go left. And go right. And go down if you can. Not touching anybody else. Okay. But the idea is you want to be able to go like that. And so when you're then finished, you want to be ending up like this. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now, if your left thumb is on top, you're a wonderful lover. Now, if you're no changing, come on. If your right thumb is on top, you're really wealthy. No changing. Now, if you're side by side, you think you're a wonderful lover, and you think you're very wealthy, but you're neither. What does it have to do with the flip or nothing? I just want you to get it. All right. I want you to know that it's snowing right now in Vancouver. Well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you a very special lady. She has created a number of teams in the real estate world. She's probably created more opportunities for people to sort of start out of the gate than anybody that I know. She's knowledgeable, she's personable, and she is a very hard-working lady. She offers real estate investors a unique advantage when you're negotiating. Not only is she a top realtor herself, but she's also a real estate mentor, a professional trainer of creative financing, and a chartered accountant. Now, everybody needs that. Having invested in rental properties for the last 12 years across Western Canada, she knows what investors need. She also knows how to analyze the deal, find maximum cash flow, and optimize your return on investment. Building your wealth in real estate is a goal. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Kelly Fry.
I'd like to know how many of you are looking for cash flow. Most of the room, that's good. And how many of you would like to find cash flow in BC? It's always easier when you're local. And how many of you would like it to be a driving distance? That's what we're here to talk about. The Fraser Valley. So we just get this working. Just a clicker. Well, I've got some great news for you. You can find some cash flow in the Fraser Valley. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy. It takes a fair amount of effort, but the deals are definitely there. Now, why the Fraser Valley? I myself have invested across 3 western provinces over the last 12 years, and I've come to the conclusion after spending all types of different adventures across Alberta and Manitoba as well as BC, that really there's no better place to invest than here. And that in fact, if I had just stayed in the local market, I probably would be further ahead. Now, investors quite often get discouraged by the Vancouver pricing, but what you need to understand is that with the ripple effect, you can get very strong returns by just moving a little further east. And the Fraser Valley, many pockets of it have seen appreciation of over 30% in the last year. it was quite common to see 35%. So what I'm here to tell you today is to take advantage of it now, because as prices continue to rise, cash flow opportunities are going to start to dry up. And I've seen this firsthand in the Maple Ridge market. It's my home market where our office is, and that's where I brought all the investors for cash flow. But with the average price of homes right now on suited houses being $700,000, $710,000, it's really hard to get that cash flow. And that's what we'll see as we move further east in the future. I'd like to first thank you for taking the time to educate yourself today, and for Ozzy and Roth for helping us all to become educated. But it's so great to be around like-minded, positive people, fellow real estate addicts like myself, who are looking to better their lives with positive cash flow. Now I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I didn't realize Ozzy was going to say so much, but basically I'm an investor with over 15 years experience. I've been an investment realtor for over 5 years, but I always tell people I'm an investor first who just happens to sell real estate. I started my career as a chartered professional accountant, so I have a natural love of return on investment analysis. I taught creative financing across Canada, in Toronto and Calgary in 2013. And I've been an investment real estate mentor to over 200 students, mostly in the West, but as far as New Brunswick. I reside in Maple Ridge, and I also invest in Fraser Valley, so everything that I'm talking about I know firsthand. Now, what I'm hoping you'll discover today, I'm going to give you a little bit about the demographics and the average incomes in the valley. And I'm going to show you where the cash flow lies. I'm going to tell you or show you some examples of deals my clients have done recently, and show you some live deals that are still available. I'm also going to show you an investment team that's going to assist you to find those deals. So the key target areas that I spend most of my time looking at are Mission, Abbotsford, and Chilliwack. And that's really where we're finding the cash flow these days. In looking at the Fraser Valley overall, the population is approaching 296,000, and the growth rate is running at 6.6%. More and more people are moving further and further out just because of affordability and being able to qualify for mortgages. Greater Vancouver itself is estimated at almost 2.5 million people and has a similar growth rate of just under at 6.5%. Now the median family income is almost $73,000 in the valley. Unemployment is supposed to be approximately 7.8%. And the vacancy rate is hovering at about 1.125%. And of course, if you take pets, you're probably sitting at 0% vacancy. Now, when we look at the benchmark prices and the appreciation of the valley overall, you're going to see that the price is fairly high because it takes into account Langley, Surrey, and Delta, which are much higher price points that aren't the ones we're talking about today. So the overall detached benchmark price is $856,000 right now in the valley, with having had a 24% return year over year in January. The average townhouse benchmark price is $420,000, having gone up almost 29% because prices rose so much that people were forced to move into the next asset class or category of townhouses. And condos are running at about $262,000, also a 27.6% increase. The average days on market right now on detached is running at about 49 days, but attached condos and townhouses, you can ask most realtors, are much quicker than that. Now people always ask me, well, who lives in the valley and where do they work? What kind of renters are you going to get? Basically the sectors you're going to see are the industrial sector, the construction and trades, healthcare, services that support the trades, and the retail sector. The employment opportunities are primarily in the blue-collar jobs. Construction, industrial jobs are the primary job opportunities that you see. But every city has a hospital, they also have colleges and universities. The retail and service sectors employ a large part of the population. And so where exactly is the cash flow in the valley? Well, as I've mentioned, we've seen a red-hot market in Vancouver that's spread further east, and property values have risen quite a bit. And the thing that's happened with rent, for some reason, a lot of people felt, sellers, whether they were homeowners or whether they were landlords, thought, prices are so high, I'm just going to cash out and take my gains. And so you have all these homeowners that suddenly thought they would rent for a while, waiting for the market to cool, which is kind of laughable for anybody who's been in the Lower Mainland for any period of time. Prices always rise over time here. They have for the last 30 years. But people had this idea that they should sell, get their gains, and that they would then then get back into the market. So you suddenly had all these homeowners looking to rent, competing against the regular renters, which created tremendous pressure on the rental market. And so you had a situation where supply was limited and prices just shot right up on rents. So there are very low vacancy rates, very high rental rates, and I think many investors would be surprised to see what the rents are in Mission, Chilliwack, and Abbotsford. They're comparable to areas closer to Vancouver. So let's take a look at some of the cash flow deals that some of my investors have bought in the last few months. And we'll start with this one. This is actually Maple Ridge, so not quite the Fraser Valley, but bordering on it. So I thought I'd show you condo, townhouse, and detached to give you a range of ideas. This is a mixed-use building with just 8 condos in it, I believe. And it's in a transitional area, a bit of a rough area that's changing, but a good location. Fairly large size at 1,150 square feet. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Renovated with functional layout, just off Logie Highway. And what made it attractive for the buyer, who's an investor, is that it came with a tenant. So the list price, or the actual price that it was purchased for, was $240,000. And the tenant lease was signed at $1,545 a month. Now at the time, that seemed like a bit of a high rent a few months ago, but that's now actually become the norm on a 2-bedroom Maple Ridge. When you look at the expense breakdown, try to make them as conservative as possible, putting in a vacancy factor of 5%, with property tax, some insurance, a repair and maintenance estimate, management of 8%, which is what many of my clients pay, and strata fee. I've assumed a mortgage on a 30-year amortization because most investors will take 30 years to get the maximum cash flow. You're looking at cash flow of about $118. And if you self-manage it, which my clients are doing since they bought it with the tenant in place, you're looking at almost $250 a month. So the cash needed on this deal, if you put a 20% down payment of $48,000 and paid for your inspection and appraisal, your land transfer tax and legal, is about $53,000, which for a lower mainland deal is a pretty inexpensive way to get into a property. Now when you look at the actual return on investment, your cash on cash from your cash flow is about 2.68%. The portion of your down payment or your money in the deal that the tenant is paying down is about 7.75. And if you just assume a 3% appreciation rate, which is a very modest assumption based upon inflation, it's actually a 13.64% increase because you've only put $52,000 down. Your overall return on this investment is 24%. So I don't know why everybody doesn't invest in real estate. To me, it's a safe investment and it's tangible, and you can get this kind of a return. Now, moving along to Chilliwack, I had a client who was looking, and he's in the crowd today, and with his wife, looking for a townhouse, ideally in Surrey or Aldergrove. But the more we looked, we couldn't just get the numbers to work. And ironically, the rents in Chilliwack are about as high as they are in Aldergrove or Surrey. So I said, you know, there's these great brand new townhouses you should really look at. They're in 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,281 square feet, located in Promontory in a new development. And they're going to be ready at the end of September. So what was great about this deal is they only had to put $20,000 down to tie it up until September when it closes. It gives an investor the time to find joint venture partners, find a renter, decide to do a rent-to-own, lots of flexibility. It's currently under construction, has fantastic views, and what's going to be great for the investors too is with new product like this, there won't be any repairs and maintenance. There won't be any headaches. And it'll be very attractive to the millennials who want to have the best of everything in here. So the purchase price on this was actually $319,000 for HST. And I'm showing rent of $1,950, but my client is actually running his ads at $2,100. So we could see really good cash flow on this deal. So if you factor in your vacancy, your tax, your insurance, your repairs and maintenance, your strata fee, your management, and your mortgage, it comes up to $166, and if you self-manage it, you'll be looking at over $300. And that's if you don't do a furnished rental. With the down payment and all the other closing costs, this investment requires about $74,000. And again, when you look at your overall return, you've got a similar cash on cash, your pay down by your tenant and your appreciation, about 24.46%. And the prices on the next phase that are coming out have already gone up, I think about $20,000. So they've already made money on this investment. Now in terms of detached, this particular deal is a favorite of mine, and this investor's in the crowd as well. What makes this one great in Chilliwack is it's got 3 suites. Whenever we see any properties with multi-suites, we always jump on them. And it's also a newer home. It's built in '07. 6 bedrooms with 4 baths, 2,726 square feet. And the suite mix is it's got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath upstairs, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath down, and then a bachelor. And we're anticipating the rents to be $1,700 upstairs, $1,000 on the 2-bedroom, and $600 on the bachelor. This just closed this week, and the property managers have already been in doing multiple showings because there's that much of a demand. And it's also really close to the new Molson plant that's being built just off the Vetter and the #1 highway. So the purchase price on this property was $585,000. It was in multiple offers. And as with the rent that I anticipated, factoring in vacancy as always, property tax, insurance, your repairs, your management, and your mortgage, this one's coming in at close to $400 positive cash flow. So again, if you self-manage it, you'd be over $700. This deal required $117,000 down payment. With your other closing costs, you're looking at about $129,000. And again, your overall return is over 25%. With the key constant being your cash flow and your pay down, always running at about 8% just on the tenant pay down alone. So how do you get in on one of these deals? Well, every day my team and I comb the market for investment deals. We're looking for cash flow, we're looking for fix and flips, we're looking for multifamily and commercial. And we're 6 members on the team, 4 full-time agents and 2 full-time admin staff, and even the admin are working on their licenses. So we keep growing the team to accommodate the needs of the investors out there. And we're working the market 24/7, 7 days a week, watching what's coming on the market. And because there are so few great deals, it's not uncommon for us to actually even be competing within our team for different clients for the same properties. So it makes for some friendly competition. We find the deals, we do the analysis on them, we prepare the hot sheets for investors. We basically try to take all the work out for you so that by the time you see the deal, you already know it's a great deal by the time we show it to you. So this is our team. Tanya is next to me in the photo, and Cameron's next to her. And then there's Mark and Kevin, and we're just missing Danny, who's our newest addition. We didn't have his headshot done yet. So what's on the market today? I wouldn't be doing a service to you if I didn't give you some examples of live deals. We've got a couple to show you. This particular one is located in Mission on Myrtle Avenue. It's a 6-bedroom, 3-bedroom up and 3-bedroom down with 3 baths. Almost 2,500 square foot home, built in 1981 on almost a 4,000 square foot lot. It's been fully renovated upstairs. It's a fix and flip for an investor who's done it. And downstairs has had rentals as well, but lighter rentals. So from a purchase standpoint as an investor, it's a totally turnkey deal. You can rent it right away. It's in great condition for a top of the market rent. There's additional parking as well. So the current list price is $539.9, and we're anticipating rent of about $3,100. With your vacancy, your property tax, now one thing you'll notice, the property tax in Mission is quite a bit higher than other areas. This is $431 a month. Population being smaller at about 35,000, there's fewer people paying into the tax base, so you will notice that about their taxes. When you add your insurance and your repairs and your management and your mortgage, you're looking at about $194 in positive cash flow. It's not uncommon. We've seen it on the team with our clients who are doing rentals in the last year to have 20 or 30 people show up for viewings on rentals in Mission. It's really gone crazy with regards to vacancy. So for this deal, you need about $108,000 for your down payment. By the time you factor in your other closing costs, you're looking at about $120,000. And your return on investment comes out to about 23.35%. Your cash flow is almost 2%. Your return on equity is about 8%, and then you're looking at just shy of 14% overall on appreciation. Now here's another deal, one of our listings in Mission as well. And it's also a 6-bedroom home, also 2 3-bedroom suites. And that extra bedroom on the basement suite really brings quite a bit more rent. It's a little bigger of a home, 3,050 square feet, and it's on a 6,466 square foot lot. It's also well positioned in that it's walking distance to the West Coast Express, which is very convenient for tenants. The West Coast Express starts in Mission and then comes straight to Vancouver. This is an older home built in 1946. But it's been renovated extensively. It's got a brand new roof, it's got new plumbing, new electrical, new windows, and the full suite was just added in the basement. It's on 2nd Avenue right downtown. This one is listed at $649,900. Rents are anticipated at $3,250, and then when you factor in your vacancy, your property tax, your insurance, your repairs, your management, and your mortgage, you're looking at about $122 a month. Now, if you self-manage, it's almost $400 a month, and really you shouldn't have much in the way of vacancy or repairs because it's been fully revamped. So your down payment on this one is 20% down is $129,900. You've got your inspection, your appraisal, your legal, your money transfer, so $143,000 to get into this deal. And again, 1% on cash flow, almost 8% on pay down, and almost 14% appreciation, 22% on your money. Now, if you're really looking for larger amounts of cash flow, you should look at rent-to-owns, a topic that I'm quite familiar with. We do a lot of rent-to-own deals, and I often speak on them. And I have a rent-to-own company that I partner with my team, and we work together with tenants who they screen. Once we know what they can afford, they've been through actually Kyle Green's team on the mortgage side, who gives us sort of a risk analysis and a timeline for these people. We're usually doing deals that run from 3 to 5 years, where the tenants are going to rent the property and then buy it at the end of the term. But we take it a step further. We actually let them pick the property that they want right on the open market, and we secure it under contract, and then we package the whole deal for investors. So we supply the tenants, we supply the property, the contracts, and handhold the tenants through it. I'll show you a deal. We've actually got an investor for this one. I just did this one in the last week. It's a Bearland strata house in Chilliwack, just off the highway in the Eastern Hillside section. It's on the market for $489,000, and it's brand new. We're actually purchasing the show suite. And so the investment required for this deal is about $103,000. The tenant who's moving into the home, who's picked this home, is putting down $20,000 of his own money. And the monthly cash flow is worked out to $647, because the tenant's going to be paying close to $3,000 a month for this deal, because part of his monthly rent is going to be credited toward his purchase price at the end of the term. The profit on this deal will be about $71,000 for the investor over a 3-year term, but if it gets extended to 5 years, which we have in our contracts, it'll be higher than that. And the return works out to 23% on that return. Now, furnished rentals is another option for maximum cash flow. It gives you a really good bump to your rent, just like rent-to-owns do. And it can take you from being negative cash flow to positive cash flow. We have a project right now that we're selling in Langley using the furnished rental strategy. We've got the rendering at our booth. And so the developer has agreed with our stages help to assemble the furniture in with the purchase price. So now the great part from the investment standpoint is you're getting your furniture financed in with your mortgage. This is a basic floor plan for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in the copper floor plan, and this is what the building looks like. And it's in Langley, just off of 53rd and 201. And it's very close to Kwantlen Polytechnic. Now, the price with everything in it, with the GST, the taxes, the furniture, is about $362,900. We're anticipating rent of at least $2,200 furnished. And once you deduct your vacancy, your property tax, your insurance, your repairs, we've taken a higher management fee because it's a little bit more for furnished rental at 10%. And after your mortgage is $348 deposit cash flow. If you did the management yourself, it would be $568. So for these condos, you're looking at about $73,000 to get into them, plus your closing costs, so just about $80,000. And in this case, your cash on cash is a little bit higher because the cash flow is bigger. With your equity paid on your appreciation, you're looking at close to 27% on your money on this deal. So in summary, as you can see today, that there is cash flow in the Fraser Valley. You just have to be willing to go a little further out than Vancouver. And sometimes you have to incorporate some other strategies like rent-to-own or furnished rental to maximize that cash flow. Keep up to date with our team and our deals by following us on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube. And then if you'd like to get a copy of this presentation today, or be on our email list, come by and see us, or you can just send me a text at 604-418-3162. Let me know your name and your email address, and then just write the word either list or presentation or both. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Kelly. That was a great presentation about one of my favorite